Star Druid is one of the new subclasses added to Baldur's Gate 3's patch 8, and with it we get a character that can dish out a ton of radiant damage. Combining that with the way of the open hand monk subclass, we're about to create a radiant damage powerhouse. In this video today, I want to bring both classes together for some destructive goodness in my celestial monk build. This is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos. So we'll start out by taking 2 levels of Druid, going with the new Circle of the Stars. This turns on all the new patch 8 abilities early in the game, and I try to focus on that for my patch 8 builds. We'll then take 6 levels of Open Hand Monk, giving us Manifestation of Body. This will give us a nice radiant damage boost to any of all of our karate chops. After that, we'll finish up with 6 more levels of Druid to give us the new Cosmic Omens ability, to help us push a hit that would have missed, or conversely, have an enemy miss when they otherwise would have hit. Taking Druid first does delay our extra attack, but the Star Druid actions are all bonus actions, so the slowdown is alright, as we'll effectively have plenty of damage coming from this build. But that's too long didn't watch this entire video, so if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. As always, I want to be respectful of your time. You can jump ahead to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. And before you head out, if you find the information in this video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. Also, take a look at my Twitch linked in the comment and description, where I'll be streaming my new Pure Evil run using this, well, maybe not this build, but plenty of other builds that I've been putting up on the channel so far. Let's get started here on the ultimate Celestial Monk Druid build in Baldur's Gate 3. Loading into the character creation, we can have some fun creating our Celestial Monk. Now, as always, this is a single player narrative game, so please choose the race that makes the most sense for the roleplay you have in mind for your character. I'm just going to go through some ones that are always standout ones for me. When you are playing a monk, period, in Baldur's Gate 3, Gith are particularly good because they have just so many abilities that are really conducive to monk in their innate cantrips. I mean, having access to astral knowledge is really nice, but they also get access to a lot of Gith specific items. Now, a lot of those items are swords, so you do have to consider stuff like that, or their armor, so that is worth noting. But there are also plenty of other items that are like circlets or rings and stuff like that that are Gith specific, and Gith thematically really fit along with being a monk. So it's a really big one I always like to shout out, because I don't think enough people get a chance to play Gith, and they don't get access to all the really fun narrative stuff of the Gith. Now, there is always the Drow, because it's my favorite race in the game, and there's no reason I would not recommend it, because it's the best race in the entire game. That's not biased at all. Half-Orc is always really good here. Just keep in mind, though, that savage attacks only work with a melee weapon. And while you can use a melee weapon in this build, you will not get the benefit from a lot of things, so it is worth noting. But Relentless Endurance is always great, so that if you get knocked down from 0 hit points, you come back up to 1 hit point. A dwarf with Dwagar is actually quite good as well here. Using Enlarge is going to be really fun for this build. Also, they get invisibility. The Dwagar are probably my favorite of all the dwarfs as well, so I wanted to give them a shout out. Tieflings are fun. Just in general, I really like them. But, you know, one that's really cool here, and I do always like to try to flavor or at least push the Dragonborn, but Dragonborn are cool here because they give you a breath attack, which is going to be really fun since you're going to be up close and personal. You'll also then have a resistance to the element that matches your breath attack. So as always, choose one that makes the most sense for you. One that's also really good that I didn't talk about is Wood Elf. Both Wood Elf or Wood Half Elf is great because they get +5 to the movement speed, which is going to be nice for monks so that you can close the distance faster. I definitely recommend something like that. For our start, though, we're going to be a Druid, like I said, so we get access to the patch 8 stuff as quick as possible. If you really wanted to min-max this, you would probably go 6 levels of Monk first and then the 6 levels of Druid. So that way you get access to your extra attack quicker and what have you. But I think even if you're doing an honor mode playthrough, it's going to be just fine doing the 2 Druid levels first, because like I said, all the Star Druid stuff comes at that 2nd level, which we'll show in a little bit. For our cantrips here, Guidance is just always really good, but I also like Thorn Whip in this situation because it pulls creatures closer to you. So you can use this to try to help pull a little gap towards something like, hey, maybe you can get 35 feet if you're a Wood Elf in this example. Let's just say 30 feet because it's a generic movement. 30 feet. Oh, but they're like at the 37-foot mark. We'll use your primary action, Thorn Whip, to launch them closer to you. And then there's so many bonus actions you can do to then do more damage. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with Thorn Whip to wombo combo into it. For our background, as always, please choose a background that fits the roleplay for your character as well, right? Because when it comes to your background choice, what you're going to get from this are inspirations. And inspirations, you'll have a max of 4. Those inspirations, you'll use them anytime you want to re-roll something that you otherwise would not have been able to re-roll. An example would be something in a conversation or what have you, like a difficulty roll. But please choose what makes sense for you. Make a little role play for your character. If you want a min-max option, you can go with Guild Artisan because it gives you both insight and persuasion. But you know, maybe you are a sage who has joined a monastic order and now you're a monk of some sort. Maybe you're an outlander who has learned the druidic ways of the forest, and now you have also combined that with the with a monk. Whatever it is that makes sense, please choose the background for your character. And as far as the spells go for this, since it's not a primary focus for this build, please just choose exactly what works for you. But what I think you should kind of look at for this is, rather than looking at the spell slots for this character as something you can use in combat, try to think of the spell slots as something you can use supplementally to help you out. Since we're not worried about the spell slots at all, they're just nice to haves. You can use stuff like Long Shredder, which will not take a spell slot. So this is a nice way to put this on a character and not have to worry about it. So you put this on, it's a ritual spell, so it's not going to use a spell slot. You cast this on everyone and they all move 10 feet faster. But other little things like Enhanced Leap, Speak with Animals, also a ritual spell. And Goodberry is another good example of when it's basically just creating a healing potion. There's some cheese you can do with this, but I don't like to condone cheese on my channel. I do love cheese though. Gouda, don't get me started. Other good examples though would be even just like heal spells, which I typically don't recommend because they can really jam you up if you're not specializing towards them. But in this case, since you're using your spell slots as a supplement to the character, feel free to focus on spell healing or anything that's going to help out the party without looking at it as like, okay, this is going to pull the attention away from the character. Nay, just have fun with it. And lastly, here we have your skills. So choose whatever makes sense for the way that you're playing. I always recommend, if this is your face character, the character that is going to be your main character, always choosing some form of conversational skill like deception, intimidation, or persuasion is key, because you'll be using that a lot in your playthrough, unless you just don't want to do that and that's the roleplay you have in mind. But your options here as a druid are pretty limiting. I would never choose animal handling, because I would just use Speak with Animals. Animal handling, you'll use this as a conversational skill when talking to animals. If you have Speak with Animals, you use your normal conversational skills. So it's not really worth it to me personally. But I like stuff like survival. It's thematic, it's fun. Nature, it's thematic, it's fun. And you'd actually get those roles in not even pivotal points, but you'd use them throughout the game pretty regularly. But those are our skills. Let's now jump into some ability points. Ability points for this character, we're going to focus on wisdom. And God, this guy's ugly. But for this, we're definitely going to put all of our points here into wisdom and then the +2 to get it to 17. We'll eventually use improved ability score to get it to 19. And if you get the Hag's Hair without ruining anything, that is going to get you to 20. So that's kind of what our focus is. We're getting a lot of benefit from our wisdom in this build. From there, though, we want to get our constitution up to 14. While it is nice, we want to have a lot of constitution because it's going to help out with concentration checks. We're not really too concerned with those. It's just nice to have more health on any kind of melee character. But the monk is deceptively tanky, so just know that. Because we're also going to jack up our dexterity here to 16. Now, you are going to have 2 points left over. If this is your face character, the character that you're going to be playing the game primarily with, I'd recommend just putting your charisma up to 10 so that you don't suffer a penalty when doing any of your charisma checks. Your charisma checks would be any of your conversational skills. Conversely, another way that you could do this, if you just like, I'm not going to go conversation, put it into strength. It's not going to benefit the character from a damage perspective, but it is going to benefit the character from a jumping perspective. And since if it's your main character, you're going to suck up loot on this thing, right? You're like a Roomba running around just gobbling up every single bone you see to sell. Having a higher weight capacity on your main character is such a quality of life improvement, so you're not constantly having to shift items off the character or use another character to pick stuff up. It's purely quality of life. It's not going to help out the character's actual damage numbers. It's just going to help out from a jumping perspective and loot perspective. But those are your ability points for this build. Let's get into the leveling now. So when it comes to leveling this character up, our first level is going to go right into Druid, where we're going to choose our subclass, and it's going to be Circle of the Stars. What this is going to give us are our subclass features here, of course. Now, Wild Shape is part of this class, but what we're going to use Wild Shape for is all of this stuff down here. It's these actions right there primarily. We have Star Map, a map of the stars you can use as a resource to casting Guiding Bolt, which is awesome. And then Starry Form, you can expend a Wild Shape charge to take on a starry form rather than transforming into a beast. You can take on the Archer, Chalice, or Dragon. I feel like I'm playing Fate Stay Night. Those that like anime, you'll know what I mean. But for the spells here, you're going to have Star Map, Guiding Bolt, and then you have Guiding Bolt. So one is relegated to your Star Map charges. The other one is relegated to spell slots. And then for our actions down here, you can see Starry Form Archer. And this is going to allow you to cast Luminous Arrow. As you can see, that's what it does. And it's a bonus action to do it. So that's why I said we can use our bonus actions to do anything fun with this. We pop into our Starry Form, it lasts until a long rest, and then we're just going to use our bonus actions to do whatever that Starry Form is. So for this example, it's a ranged radiant damage shot. This one, the Chalice, is a healing spell. And this is going to get a bonus here from our Wisdom, which is really cool. And this last one here is a lot of stuff. So when you make a saving throw to maintain concentration on a spell, a roll result of 9 or lower is considered 10. Because 10 is, I'm going to get this wrong in the explanation here, but 10 is like the lowest roll that's like possible that you have to beat. So it's a little bit more of a convoluted explanation when it comes to concentration, but I believe it all starts at 10 and then goes higher from there. And then Dazzling Breath is a breath attack, much like I said you'd have as a Dragonborn, right? But you now get this and just spit radiant damage everywhere. So those are your big things here. And then spells, like I said, just go with stuff that's going to help supplement other things in the build, in the party. Like, you know what? Maybe now you can create water to help out a character that is focusing on lightning damage, right? You can kind of amp those things up, or even ice damage. So you can help out to help create those wombo combos. So into our level 3, our character level 3, we're now going to go away from Druid and go into Monk and make a beeline here for level 6. Monk is of course going to give us the bonus action here for Flurry of Blows. So now our bonus action has options for it. So it kind of relieves that pressure of needing to jump into extra attack as quickly as possible. We also too get unarmored defense, so our wisdom modifier goes into our armor class, as well as our dexterity modifier. We get dexterous attack, so it uses our dex. And we're going to play around with that a little bit in this build, but also unarmed strikes and what have you. And key points. We'll have plenty of unique resources, but we're going to get an increase to our movement speed. So if you are a Wood Elf, you now have a 15. Well, yeah, right? Because Wood Elf is +5. Well, you get even more movement here, but basically Monk gives you an extra 10 feet, plus if you're Wood Elf, you get all the benefits. Then you have these key point bonus actions, which are going to allow you to either do patient defense to incur disadvantages, to dash, or to disengage. So a lot of great benefits there. Again, your bonus action is going to be really jammed up with options. So you can do a lot of defensive, reactive things, whatever it is. So into level 3, we're going to choose our subclass, and it's going to be the Way of the Open Hand. We'll get a very strong bonus action here too with Flurry of Blows, Stagger, Push, or Topple. Topple is particularly good because it can knock things prone and then just kind of open the door for many, many, many critical hits from you, crits as it is called. And then into level 4 for Monk, we then get Slow Fall and more key points, but now we get to talk about our feat choices, and there are some pretty unique ones here. When it comes to our feat, there are 3 things that we're going to focus on. The first one is going to be ability improvement. We want to get this up to, we want our wisdom up. The other one is going to be mobile. Right here, your movement speed increases and difficult terrain doesn't slow you down when you dash. If you move after making a melee attack, you don't provoke opportunity attacks from your target. So this gives you a lot of really cool mobility. So those are the 2 that we can play with. We only get 2 in this build. The third one is Tavern Brawler. Tavern Brawler is cool because it allows you to basically just do a disgusting amount of damage. When you make an unarmed attack, your strength modifier is added twice to the damage and attack rolls. So if you're comfortable playing with Tavern Brawler and utilizing Elixirs, because you'd have to do that in this build, this is the way to go about it. And you could use those 2 bonus points that you had during character creation. You put them into Constitution. You use this +1 point. You put it into Constitution here. Now you have 16 Constitution, 16 Dex, and 17 Wisdom is what you would have. that's how you would go about it. And if you wanted to use Tavern Brawler, you would take this first, because our wisdom modifier isn't going to be as important until we get more stuff, either item wise or more wisdom accessible things in the game. So we can hold off on getting ability improvement. So if you're comfortable with doing that and you want those big damage numbers, this is when you would take Tavern Brawler. Then your second feat would be ability improvement. I don't like to always showcase Tavern Brawler because I feel like it's an overdone approach for any and all monk and any and all throwing build. I'm going to show it off in this video so you can see how high the damage can get in this build, but I encourage you to not feel pigeonholed by the min-max way the internet tells you to play, but instead play the monk however the fuck you want, because you spent money on a video game, so you get to play it however you desire. So I'm going to show that off here, but I don't always encourage it because you then have to be reliant upon elixirs, and there is a little bit of a gamey approach to that. So let's go ahead and keep going from here. Into level 5 monk, character level 7, we'll get access to our extra attack. It's going to of course bring way more damage to the table, and we'll get stunning strike, which is really fun to just outright stun things. Into level 6 for monk, we get the most important reason we've taken open hand monk, and it is this right here: manifestation of soul. Infuse your strikes with ki from outside your body. Your unarmed attacks, specifically unarmed, deal an additional 4 to 7 radiant, because I believe it's 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier. So we're getting our wisdom modifier in here, and that's really nice. We get an action of wholeness of body, regain half your key points, and enter a temporary state of wholeness where you regain key points and have an extra bonus action. So it's a way to just get you some healing and some key points, which is nice. Also key empowered strikes, so now your unarmed attacks will bypass resistances and immunity to non-magical attacks, and even more movement speed. So just from playing monk, we got 25 more feet of movement, which is really nice. So we'll take this, and now we pivot away, right? We're level 9, so we're going to be in the midpoint of Act 2. So all that manifestation of body, all that radiant damage is really going to get amped up in this build. So, and what's nice too about monk, you're not really necessarily reliant upon items so much. The items just make you that much better. So moving back over to our druid, we can prepare more spells. They're there here for you. Go about them as you see fit, like I've said before. Moonbeam is good. It's just a concentration ability, and this does play into the radiant damage available for this build. But other things like, you know, restoration can help you out if you're playing. Like this is like, I mean, a utility spell like I was talking about. Or protection from poison, which lasts until long rest. This is a great example of using your spell slots outside of combat to give buffs to the entire party, because you don't really necessarily care about your spell slots in this build unless you're trying to use spell slots for a guiding bolt. So those things all exist for you. We're going to push forward again. We don't really care here about what we're going to be getting. Cantrips wise, use whatever. A shillelagh's not going to help unless you're using a club, but you definitely can. It would count as a monk weapon, but you can. But we'll just choose resistance here, or poison spray for that matter. It doesn't really matter. For our feat, if you've gone with Tavern Brawler, then you would choose wisdom here. If you went with ability improvement first, this is when you would take mobile. Another option here is alert to increase your initiative and make it so you can't be surprised. I just don't like to play with it because it kind of feels boring to me. And then moving on, we go with level 5, gets us even more spells, a lot of really good utility ones. Plant growth is an amazing spell because it does not require concentration to use, and it quarters. Creatures moving through the weeds have their movement speed quartered. So it drops all the way down to 1/4 of what their total is, right? So if they have 100 movement speed, they would only have 25. It's a really, really good one. A nice one too is Sleet Storm, because it shuts down concentration of spellcasters, enemy ones, but it does cost you concentration. And by the time you get this spell, you're in level 10, you're leaving Act 2. You're about to jump into Act 3. But daylight can be helpful in Act 2 if you get this at more of a midpoint of Act 2. It really kind of comes down to how much experience you're tapping into. You can also go with something like Protection from Energy or Call Lightning, but they are concentration spells, so I really wouldn't worry about them too much. So those are our options here. I'm going to pop this in because I talked about it. And we also get another star map to use for Guiding Bolt, so more of that action. Our last level here for Druid gets us the most important thing, are cosmic omens. So whenever you long rest, you consult the stars for a cosmic omen of weal or woe. The omen grants you the ability to increase weal or decrease woe, attack rolls and saving throws, and to increase your allies' ability checks. So this helps you to push an attack on, subdue an attack, or divert an attack, stuff like that. It's basically like being a divination wizard, which gets set dice to roll. This is different, but it's very similar approach. That's how you would use it. And it's a really, really, really cool mechanic, and I wanted to turn it on. You could definitely not go this many levels into Druid if you so wish. You could really just choose 4 levels in Druid and 8 levels in Monk, just to get access to another feat from Druid and then get all the benefits of level 7 Monk, which are pretty substantial. But this I think is cool because it turns on all the abilities of the Star Druid as far as the patch 8 is concerned. So let's now jump into what those abilities look like, some gear and other fun stuff, as well as some gameplay. Jumping into some of the items that I don't have, we'll be using EIP here, and this entire build you can find linked in the description. So if you want to just follow along there, you can, rather than watching the rest of this video. I should put that early in the video, but hey, whatever. Guess I'm such a great YouTuber. But some things that are quite good that I don't actually have in this playthrough are the Gloves of Belligerent Skies. When the wearer deals thunder, lightning, or radiant damage, inflict 2 turns of reverberation upon the target. By the time you get these gloves, you'll be just around the point that you'll get access to doing that radiant damage. So these are huge. They stack so well with Open Hand Monk. It honestly, it trivializes honor mode, having an Open Hand Monk with all of the reverberation abilities stacked on, because we're going to couple these with Boots of Stormy Clamor. When the wearer inflicts a condition upon a hostile creature, they also inflict 2 turns of reverberation. We are going to inflict a condition when we hit with our Gloves of Belligerent Skies and our radiant damage. So this is going to stack 4 stacks of reverberation. Once it reaches 5 stacks, it has a chance to knock things prone, and it does 1d4 thunder damage. So it's really good. And lastly, we have Thunderskin Cloak. When I have this in the game, but I'm just showing you how these things will link together. When a creature with reverberation deals damage to the wearer, the creature needs to make a Constitution saving throw or become dazed. So that's a really cool thing. You can also use, I think it's called the Thunderous Ring. There's a ring that couples with all this, but it requires you. It's a very similar effect to what we just took a look at. Spine Shredder Amulet. There we go. When the wearer deals damage with a ranged spell attack, inflict 2 turns of reverb on the target. So you can use that in this, but we're not really using ranged spell attacks, so that's why I didn't include it here. And Ring of Spiteful Thunder. When the wearer deals thunder damage to a reverberating target, it becomes dazed unless it succeeds its Constitution saving throw. So you can stack all this up. And you're going to be dealing damage to reverberating targets. So you can go that direction if you want. I just didn't want you to feel like you're again, pigeonholed into it. It's a very strong way to play. But again, I think it's something that is very showcased on the internet as far as how to play monks. So I don't want you to feel like that's the only way. And another piece of equipment here that I don't actually have is the Luminous Armor. So this is medium armor, and it will shut off your monk capability to give you armor class. So when the wearer deals radiant damage, though, they cause a radiant shockwave, which gives radiant orbs, which reduces things attack. So basically you'd be able to make it so people have a hard time hitting you. This can be stacked up with radiant damage. I didn't focus on this build because there's more items to go with, and they're almost all medium armor as far as that build's concerned. So we haven't used it, but I wanted to showcase it very quickly. As far as some other items that I don't have, it's this one, the Callous Glow Ring. The wearer deals an additional 2 points of radiant damage against the creatures that are illuminated, and you will be doing damage to things that are illuminated quite a bit. So you can use all these things in conjunction to do radiant damage, to get a bunch of reverberation stacks, all sorts of fun stuff. Let's jump in now to the items that I do have. Usually in this section, I would talk about the best weapon for this build, and it's your fists, so don't even worry about it. But I think this is a good point to talk about using an elixir and how it's going to use our Tavern Brawler. So right now here, you can see that it says 10 to 24 damage because it's pulling off of our dexterity, I believe. Even though I have Tavern Brawler, I think it defaults to the top one. So we're going to use an elixir of Cloud Giant Strength, which is going to set our strength to 27 until you do a long rest. You can get these in Act 1. It's a little bit trickier, and you really kind of have to know how to manipulate not necessarily manipulate the alchemy system, but know how to get the ingredients and where the Hill Giant Fingers or Cloud Giant Fingers are. Early, you would use a elixir of Hill Giant Strength, which would set your strength to 22. So now our strength is 27. So that +8 is now going to be doubled whenever we do attacks because of Tavern Brawler here. So this now says 19 to 33. So you can see that the damage on this is huge. It's just a very specific way of playing. So that's the best quote unquote weapon for this build. As far as the armor goes, you're a monk. Have fun with whatever armor you find. The entire Kushigo set that you'll find throughout the entirety of the playthrough is very, very good. I encourage it until you want to swap into some other items. Now for your helmet piece, I'm using right now the Shapeshifter hat. Increases your wild shape charge by 1. This additional charge is restored upon taking a long rest. So this is good, but I would only encourage it until you run out of your wild shape charges. Then you would put this on and go into your wild shape if you needed to, because remember, your wild shapes last until long rest in the form of Star Druids. So you don't need to have this active like you do for a Moon Druid, where you bounce in and out of your shape because you have to talk to things and what have you. You don't have to worry about that here as much. So don't feel like you need to use this helmet all the time. Just use it when you're at your 0 charges. Put this on. You've got a charge back. Go ahead and go back into your starry form. Otherwise, one of the best ones is the Mask of Soul Perception. Gain a +2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative rolls, and perception checks. Those are just kind of like not a cool monk helmet, you know? Like, it's like, oh, okay, I guess. Horn of the Berserker here is nice. You get a +2 bonus to attack rolls. Unarmed and melee attacks will deal an additional 2 necrotic as long as you don't have full health. It's just a cool one to kind of throw thematically into this because of unarmed damage. Fistbreaker helmet, +1 spell save DC, but you get a bonus to initiative rolls. You get this in Act 2, but pretty much use any helmet that is not an armor piece, right? You can use any of the cowls. Again, the Uninhibited Kushigo helmet or cowl is a good one. Those are all great. Now for our chest piece, we're using the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. Whenever the wearer succeeds on a saving throw against a spell, they regain 1 to 4 hit points, but they get this is a really important one. Our reaction is kind of a little crowded up because the Cosmic Omens uses a reaction. But Greater Kushigo counter, the wearer can use a reaction to make an unarmed strike against any attacker that misses. So you can do a ton of damage when it's not even your turn. You can kind of base this off of, okay, am I out of my Cosmic Omens, which replenish on a long rest, versus the rest of this is a short rest, a long rest for star maps, and a short rest for your wild shapes. So you can see that kind of has a bit of a balance. But okay, I'm out of it. I'm just going to start using the Soul Rejuvenation counter to do a ton of damage. And it gives us +2 AC, which is nice. Our AC right now is 21. Into that, though, we have some other options here. Armor of the Sporekeeper, it's kind of... sorry, this is supposed to be the Armor of the Moon Basking. Oh, wow. Cool. What a great, cool video this is. There it is. Nope, that's not it either. Oh, all of them look the same. I mean, like, you could understand why I would make this mistake. Why I would make this... Oh, wait a minute. Do you have it on right now? You do. So Moon Basking Armor right here. Gain 22 temp hit points after casting Wild Shape. And your star form counts as a Wild Shape. While those temp hit points are active, reduce all incoming damage by 1. You have a +2 bonus to armor class. You have an advantage on saving throws against spells. This effect persists while using your Druidic Wild Shape ability. So this is a good one to use in lieu of using this one. If you want to just go with more of an actual like Druid armor, you can see, I mean, it looks very Druidic, right? But if you want like, okay, I really want to focus on my monk capabilities, Vest of Soul Rejuvenation is the way to go. Coming back over to our inventory and our 5 of these damn armors, we have our gloves. I really like the gloves of soul catching. They're quite good. Your unarmed attacks now deal 1 to 10 force damage in addition to already being stupid strong. Force is one of the least resisted effects in the game. Once per turn on an unarmed hit, you can regain 10 hit points. Alternatively, you may forego healing to gain advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the end of your turn. Also, this gives you 2 constitution. So it's just a +1 constitution bonus, basically, right? Like this right here, or this right here, the constitution checks. Like here's a +1 to that now. I really, really like these gloves. Early in the game, though, bracelets of defense are quite good. The gauntlets of Hill Giant strength are quite good because they set your strength to 23. You'll get this in Act 3, right? So these are a way to kind of circumvent using elixirs if you don't want to. You do have 4 less strength, but you don't have to use elixirs anymore. Also, the Hell Dust gloves are really cool here. Your weapon attacks deal an additional fire damage, but your unarmed attacks deal necrotic and can possibly inflict bleeding. We're not doing necrotic, but it's just a way to cool way to add more damage values. I did talk about the 2 armors here, Soul Rejuvenation and the Armor of Moon Basking, but I forgot to mention I have the Mighty Cloth in this example, but you would use the Graceful Cloth, which is the Dex counterpart of this. You could use the Mighty Cloth if you went with the Tavern Brawler, so I wanted to kind of showcase both as an option. And also there's the Mutilated Carapace, which you get in Act 3. Doesn't help us as much, but you get a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls while shapeshifting or disguised. And it counts as being shapeshifted when you're in your star form. So that those things are worth noting. For our boot selection, we're going with the Boots of Uninhibited Kushigo here. The wearer deals additional damage equal to their wisdom modifier with unarmed strikes. You can go with the Spiteful Thunder ones that we talked about, or I'm sorry, the Stormy Clamor boots. These are a little bit more geared towards just outright doing more damage and less of stacking the reverberation effect. Some other boots you can go with, though, are the Boots of Speed, the Disintegrating Night Stalkers, just general mobility boots. In Act 3, you can use the Helldusk boots, which basically are like these boots, but you get Hellcrawler, which is a Misty Step that explodes in fire around you, so it's pretty awesome. As far as our amulets go, I have Khalid's Gift here because it gives us a +1 to wisdom. I didn't put the Hag's Hair on this character, so this gives them 20 wisdom. So you can see this is a way to get that +1 very late in the game. Other options, though, are the Amulet of Greater Health. This is a really contested one, so that's why it's kind of off to the side here. Just be mindful of it. A lot of characters are probably going to want to use this instead of this one. So you can see it's going to give us like 130. Yeah, 135 total hit points, which is awesome, but I'd rather just go with more wisdom because that's more damage and more bonuses across all of our abilities. Early game items, though, are like the Moondrop Pendant help out when moving away from things and incurring an opportunity attack when we're low on health. A free cast of shield with Amulet of the Harpers. The Sentient Amulet, which you will get originally in Act 1, but does evolve in Act 3 to have Shatter and Key Restoration, which is always nice. And then like something like Amulet of Misty Step, something that you get very early too, just any kind of mobility one. Now for our ring, you can go with the Shapeshifter's Boon. While shapeshifting or disguising yourself, you get a 1d4 bonus to all checks, because remember, you're in star form, that's a shapeshift. But Coruscation Ring really works here. The wearer deals spell damage, keyword spell damage, while illuminated by a light source. They inflict radiating orb upon the target, so if you want to use any of the radiating effects of radiant damage, you can stack this with your Callous Glow Ring and do a bunch of stuff. But other stuff would be Ring of Regeneration, Crusher's Ring, the Ring of Free Action until you get your ability to move freely as a monk, or the Killer's Sweetheart, which is guaranteed critical hits. So just kind of have some fun with those, whatever kind of fits early in your build. Our cloak piece is going to be either the Cloak of Displacement to incur disadvantage on attack rolls that target the wearer, or the Thunderskin Cloak. It's going to depend upon, are you going with that Thunder Reverberation route, or did you skip over it? This is better if you skip over it, but you can also just go with just a flat AC bonus with the Cloak of Protection. It's entirely up to you. And if you don't have anyone using it, the Dark Fire Shortbow is quite good for resistance to fire and cold damage, as well as a free cast of haste. So you have all those options available to you. Let's now jump into some gameplay and see how these fists go a-flying. So just to go over quickly how Star Form works here, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click Wild Shape Charge, and you can see this says Wild Shape. We click this button and then we can see our 3 wild shape forms. We talked about how these work. We did not get to the level that would thus increase these forms to massive amounts. I think it's level 10 for the Star Druid, would then give them another passive bonuses to the damage here, but it's still going to be pretty substantial. I'm going to go with the Star Form Dragon because it's quite cool, because we're going to be up close and personal and I want to do those Dragon Breath attacks. So we press this and then this. Look at that, I sprayed a party. So now I am in star form, which kind of looks like a Twilight vampire, and I can press this button and I use Dazzling Breath. This is, again, like I said, this would be basically in lieu of using our bonus attack. We would just simply, our extra attack, we would just simply use this bonus action here. You can press it, you can see that's the breath attack it does. But now let's jump into some combat. And one important thing I forgot to mention before we jump into combat, press passives, we have to turn on our manifestation. So we want to turn on Manifestation of Soul, because that is now going to add more radiant damage to each one of our hits. It's not the most important thing, but it's a big key to opening up more damage on the build, so that's what we're doing. Jumping into combat, let's now have fun. So I have quaffed a Potion of Speed, which gives me a +2 bonus to my armor class, of course, just want to let that be known, but it's going to give me an additional action here so I can show off more stuff in a single round. So in case you're wondering why, that is why. So what can we do here? Before we even really get into that action, I want to show off too how Guiding Bolt works. So Guiding Bolt can either be cast with my star map charges, which is 3 right here, or with our spell slots, and they can be amped up. They both will cost an action, just depending upon which resource it will use. The big thing that this does here is, yes, it does radiant damage. Yes, it does 4 to 24 on a base level, and this can be amped up to 3 to 6 or 36. Yeah, 6 or 36, which is great. But right there's what I want you to see. The next attack roll against this target has advantage. So this allows us to line up big hits, either with our advantage, with our breath attacks here. Actually, this is not an attack roll. I think the archer's ability is an attack roll. But this allows us to line up stuff, especially us as a melee character. So I'm actually going to have this be our first action. I'm going to amp it up with a spell slot, because why not, right? So 24 hit points of Guiding Bolt went into this target, and now we have advantage on hitting them. So we hopefully can now go finish them off with one of our primary actions. Primary actions here, of course, can be anything over here, but we do have Stunning Strike, which is really cool. And our basic fist does 29 to 46 damage here, because we have that manifestation, we have the force damage, and our fist itself is just a fist of fury. So we have a lot of options. But we also, is that bonus action for Dazzling Breath, the bonus action too here for Topple, which is, I mean, Dazzling Breath is really good, and I like it because they're still going to take half damage. What is probably a better star form here is either Chalice for healing, or Archer for just to give you like, hey, I'm not close enough to do damage. Let me use my Archer's bonus action to do damage. Dazzling Breath is cool because of the concentration effect that it will give you. And again, this doing damage even on a half hit. So it's cool because you do this, right? And you shoot Dazzling Razzle Dazzle Breath. I'm still going to show you though how destructive Flurry of Blows is, because it's also going to be brought online in a big way in this build. Let's go over here and punch this guy in the head. Oh, let's look at that really quick. So 25 plus 6 plus 6 just did a whopping 32 damage with it, just single punch. Let's come over here and see if we can get a good topple going. At 58 to 92, this guy's toast. Watch, I'm gonna miss. It's just so fun to play monk in this game. So we did 25 plus 7 plus 7 plus 27 plus 8 plus 8 or plus 10. So much damage can come out of this build in a big way, and none of those are crits. We didn't critical hit anyone. Let's go do a forced critical hit. I think this will do a forced critical hit if I do it. Please do a forced critical hit right now. Oh, I thought it would trigger Executioner here. So that's a lot of the fun of the attacking of the build. If I had done a critical hit, it would have been even more impressive because those numbers would have doubled, right? Which melts damn near everything because we're doing Radiant and Force, two really good damage types. But we also have our reaction. So let's go ahead and end our turn. We're going to let things kind of go through. And we got Cutting Words here. We're just not going to react. And we're not going to react. Sometimes it gets kind of tricky on how this works because we're affecting the damage roll, I believe, not the attack roll, and I might be a little wrong on that when it comes to wheel. So we're just going to push through our turn. We basically want a reaction to trigger on our cosmic omens. We're pushing stuff through, and it would have occurred on our attacks, but all of our attacks went through, so we didn't have to worry about it, right? Okay, there we go. So Ensnaring Strike on Shadowheart needs a 13 to save. They rolled a 9. So we can use this, adds a 1d6 bonus to allies saving throw if it would otherwise fail. So usually a lot of the times that these prompts don't come up is because you would not have been able to affect it. Because remember, a 1d6 is a 1 to 6. But if it's like, oh, they've got a 7-point deficit, it doesn't matter. You won't be able to affect it, so it's not going to ask. So here, boom. Well, it didn't help, but it could have helped is my point. It's the dice roll. It's a random mechanic. But you can see you basically kind of get the same mechanic as like a Warding Bond or one of the other ones that gives you some defensive stuff that you can spread to other people in the party. You can use it offensively too when it comes to getting a bomb in the face, but you can use it offensively too when it comes to trying to get an actual hit on target. And I can't use any more reactions this turn. It's going to come back around to my turn, and we'll just do very quickly here we'll just do this really fast. Just to do. Why is this not triggering? It should have gone, I believe. But you can see we're just doing so much damage. It's just too fun. It's just too fun. So that is our Celestial Monk build. Any open hand monk is so strong in this game. And this is a really good example of how you can stack all the radiant stacking effects of the game, either through items or the Star Druid's effects, to really have fun manipulating the game, right? Like, oh, okay, well, hey, we're going to give you the effect to increase your attack rolls, or the effect to increase or decrease the enemy's attack rolls. Whatever it is, we've got so many tools at our disposal with this build, which is a little bit less selfish than a pure open hand monk. A pure open hand monk just wants to go use its bonus action and wants to get over here and do this and completely rock someone's world and critically miss and make me not look cool in a video. But my point remains here is an open hand monk just wants to use pure damage. You can use your reaction, which is something you're not really going to use as a monk outside of that greater Kushigo, to allow you to help out the party or yourself. And that's what I think is really cool here, in addition to the star forms, which can let you heal and whatnot. But if you have other ways of approaching this build, to say, hey, you know what, I did 8-4, and this is going to give me key resonance on my open hand monk. Actually, I think that might be happening at 9. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong there, but a lot more stuff with the open hand monk, allowing me to do more melee damage with my monk and what have you. Or hey, you know what, I actually did bypass Tavern Brawler, and here's what I did instead, and this is what I really like with my Star Druid. There's plenty of ways you can build this out, and there's a lot of really cool ways that you could use Star Druid across a lot of other builds, like a light cleric and Star Druid, stuff like that. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below if you've approached Star Druid in a different way. Always love to hear the different approaches people have. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.